Home ownership historically has been looked at as like the American dream. Like, you are nobody until you own property. And it's kind of messed up because a lot of people weren't even allowed to get property for a long time. There are a lot of pros and cons that come with it. And here I will be explaining both of those and weighing the options. Starting off with the pros, so building equity. Homes have increased in price over the last several years. There isn't really an outlook that sees them going down. So when you do own a home, you get to benefit from building that equity because you actually have access to that capital if you want to use it. So for instance, if your home value has appreciated, which means that it's gone up since you purchased it, chances are that you can use that equity for other things. So maybe that's taking out a HELOC loan, which is a home equity line of credit. There are things that you can do to leverage that equity that you've built in your property. The next pro is generational wealth. If you're already at a disadvantage, it can be difficult to understand how you can actually forge a future for your family. Once you own property, you can continue to pass that down from generation to generation. Another benefit of home ownership is that you pay the same amount in terms of your monthly mortgage payment every month, assuming that you don't refinance your home. If you're someone who doesn't like being told what you can and can't do in your own space, then home ownership might be for you. You're not constrained by a landlord who's telling you can't paint the walls or you can't put nails in the walls. You have the liberty to do what you want when you own your own home. Now let's flip over to the cons side of the ledger. Believe it or not, there are actually quite a few cons that come with home ownership. The first being that sometimes it can be inaccessible. The cost of a down payment, saving up that amount of money can be very, very challenging for most individuals. There are some programs that allow you to put less down in terms of your down payment. What happens is you actually end up with a really high mortgage payment. So there is a downside and a drawback to not putting down a lot of money up front. There are a lot of costs associated with home ownership that tend to increase. So think about insurance. Insurance is only getting more expensive. In fact, in certain places where they're prone to flooding, there's actually a lot of insurance companies that won't insure properties. So finding insurance can even be a burden. And property taxes. When you own a home, you have to pay property taxes, and these are taxes that you pay indefinitely. So even after you've paid off your mortgage, you still have to pay property taxes. So technically, you never actually really own the place. I mean, you own the house, but you never own the land that it sits on. And unfortunately, those two expenses just continue to get higher and higher. Another con is that while you do have the liberty to do what you want in the space, you're actually responsible for everything. So anything that goes wrong in that home, you have to fix and figure out how to cover. And the final con to homeownership is that it can be very difficult to be flexible. So if you want to relocate, maybe you have a new job opportunity, or maybe you just want to not live somewhere where the weather sucks 90% of the year. That can be very challenging when you own your place. You're a bit more tied to that location that you live in. That can be really challenging, especially if you maybe have to leave and have to sell your place. And what if it's not an ideal market opportunity? What if it's a buyer's market? You're selling at a period where you may not get as much for your house as you would have otherwise if you were able to sell at your own convenience. So you are constricted in a number of ways when it comes to home ownership. All in all, I think it really comes down to you as an individual, what you value. I will be doing a follow-up to this talking about owning rental properties, which is a very different experience than owning a home that you live in and occupy. You guys, we are like 25 subscribers away from 5,000, which is absolutely insane. So thank you to everyone who has subscribed to this channel. I really hope that you'll consider subscribing. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't be scared.